Welcome back to today's industry recap. From developments surrounding Boeing to the Airbus A321 XLR and Air France launching new flights, why not begin with the American plane maker who delivered 40 aircraft in the month of August, a jump year over year, and there were some positives despite the company's ongoing turbulence, which I will discuss in the latter part of this segment. The monthly total includes deliveries for 32 MAX jets and 4 Dreamliners. Other aircraft were delivered from the 777 and 767 families, while Boeing delivered 3 additional units at 43 units just 1 month prior in July. August's performance does still represent an increase year over year. Most notably, this increase that I speak of has been made possible thanks to largely deliveries towards important markets such as China and or India, either recommencing or increasing in their overall levels. While this was an area of positivity, Boeing still has many struggles to overcome, but August is always going to be a typically slower month, as hopefully the year will progress towards the latter stages, which we are now definitely closing in on. The remaining months will see some kind of recovery. Looking ahead, we know Boeing needs to resolve supply chain matters with crucial partners, and also continuing rebuilding that all-important brand reputation, which will not happen overnight. At the beginning of the year, the FAA confirmed it would restrict Boeing from increasing aircraft production after concerns were raised about the safety and integrity of the planes that they were producing. The key governing regulator argued that if Boeing were to proceed with increases, well, then quality control would be further compromised. These restrictions have led to significantly lower output than what was initially forecast. Remember that 2024 was earmarked not just a year that Boeing would continue rebuilding itself as a business, but also one where it had planned many different increases to work through a backlog. None of that eventuated as planned. Output targets are expected to remain far from optimal for much longer, as Boeing has reportedly in recent weeks informed suppliers of fresh delays equating to some 6 months. The FAA remains pretty bullish on allowing Boeing to increase production on its most popular MAX jet, which obviously presents concerns for the plane maker, but this trickles down to airlines that are relying on future deliveries to grow their business and or replace aging aircraft, and now simply can't do it at the rate intended. Some now seeking compensation for the damages that they're facing. In some fresh developments, Mike Whitaker, who is the head of the Federal Aviation Administration, stated that before a production cap is lifted on the MAX, there must be a great deal of assurance on their part that the plane maker's safety processes have improved to a level that is deemed suitable to allow for a rise. Boeing has already invested significant resources from funds to employees to essentially rebuild this company culture to become one now that prioritizes safety. And all these changes are considered to be widely positive. However, the FAA wants to ensure that these processes are executed well before it officially allows outputs to increase. Moving to Air France, who have announced that they will expand their Asian network in December of this year by launching a new route from their home of Paris-Charles de Gaulle. The airline has confirmed that commencing on December 7, they will begin thrice weekly flights to Manila in the Philippines to cater to growing demand in this region. Furthermore, the airline is very much committed to giving the market of the Philippines the best possible in-flight experience, and as a result, it's going to be deploying its modern but also efficient Airbus A350-900. This wide-body has 3 classes ranging from business class, premium economy, and just your standard economy class. AF208 is scheduled to depart on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 11:20 p.m, with a following day arrival into Manila at 7:30 p.m. After spending almost 2.5 hours on the ground, AF209 will depart Manila at 9:50 p.m, arriving back into Paris the following morning at 5:50. These flights, especially the return leg of AF209 with that 5:50 in the morning arrival into Paris, you can immediately tell has been optimally timed to not just enable great coordination of arrival into Paris, allowing you the whole day there, but also for onward connectivity across Europe on partner airlines. Now, this would include KLM, Thanks to Air France's close relationship with the Netherlands-based company, you can see non-stop flights to Amsterdam incredibly easy, alongside other popular European destinations, it must be said. Manila will form the 5th new route for this upcoming 2024-2025 winter schedule, as Air France says they're going to be focusing on leveraging the aircraft they have available to them to bump up capacity into key international markets around the world, while also rejigging their network wherever they believe fit. And moving on to the final story, with Wizz Air for not the first time announcing its first scheduled route set to take place aboard the upcoming Airbus A321 XLR. You may recall, I want to say around a week ago, I did inform you all of the first A321 XLR route that had been announced. Well, technically they're doing this again, what I'm about to discuss being the second route, but technically now the first one to actually commence. The European budget carrier previously said the XLR would be deployed between Milan and Abu Dhabi, seemingly confirming this would be the debut route. However, now the CEO has openly stated that the actual expectation is the first proper route will be deployed between London Gatwick and Jeddah, this being part of that new announcement. Flights between these locations will commence on March 31 next year, whereas Milan to Abu Dhabi flights will take place at a later date. Wizz Air is expecting the first Airbus A321 XLR to arrive in early 2025, and this follows the required certification coming in recent months, which will pave the way for deliveries to finally commence. The carrier believes the A321 XLR can truly help them redefine what single-aisle travel means, and they see the plane as optimal across 7 to 8 hour routes, one of the more important things being the need not to acquire a wide-body aircraft to operate these long flights, which would go against its business model. Target markets for the A321 XLR are still being discussed internally as the airline prepares to welcome the plane. From India to the Middle East, or from Europe, these are markets that have already been mentioned by airline team members in just really a realm of possibilities. That gives Wizz Air quite a lot of food. That gives Wizz Air much more food for thought than it maybe would have anticipated. Unfortunately, however, despite Wizz Air's significant announcements about the commencement of these routes and their specific dates, the airline is really unable to control the fate of them. Its chief executive reaffirmed this through recent comments, stating that the goalposts are always continuing to pivot, and as a result, the airline is truly at the mercy of Airbus, a direct quote from him. While it has to plan for a route commencement and delivery, they may not occur on time. Worse still, Wizz Air is saying that those goalposts have already pivoted so much that forecasting properly in advance has become a real challenge. The XLR was initially expected to enter service in 2023 following certification, but concerns over the additional fuel tank and subsequent fire risks did spark fresh year-long delays. Now, on the grand scheme of things, a year is a long time, but when it comes to delays for new aircraft, it certainly isn't that long. In saying that, it is still going to have ramifications on airlines, and Wizz Air is not going to be the only one feeling something similar, and at the current point the industry finds itself in, there really isn't a single aircraft type that is not being delayed in some way, shape or form, and hurting airlines' long-term plans. Thanks a lot for watching, take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.